Hi and welcome back to another video of JPlay. I am Marcus and today should be a rather short one, let's see, because I'm only taking a look inside the box of the Adventures of Conan here, which very recently arrived at my doorstep, and I was really excited for this one. Was designed by Jack Reda, and Jack Reda, hopefully I'm not butchering your name here, is responsible for a ton of stuff for Dune, the board game. He's also behind the 2 to 4 player version of Dune, which works really well. I absolutely love this game. Unbelievable how he could take the big Dune board game and really condense it down to this 2 to 4 player game. And yes, it absolutely works at all of these player counts. It's cool at 2, it's cool at 3, and it's also cool at 4, and maybe a tad better with 4 players, but I think that's simply the spirit of the Dune board game, but it works also very well. But yeah, of course, we are not talking about Dune, but Adventures of Conan. But yeah, I'm almost sounding like a fanboy here, but he's also responsible for Cosmic Encounter stuff or behind stuff, Firefly Misbehaving, the deck building game. Yeah, I really sound like a fanboy here. And yeah, that's basically here what we're looking at today. I am a huge fan of the Conan IP. I did read my fair share of, let's say, the short stories back in the day, but I think for me that's Arnold Schwarzenegger in his most iconic roles for me. Maybe other than or similar to T1 or T2, for example. Conan is always something I enjoy every now and then. And from a board game and also video game perspective, I played my fair share of Conan games out there. Really still heavily enjoy the Age of Conan board game, the strategy game. It's really great game, including the expansion. I also played the MMO back in the day, not so much anymore. And I also played the Conan game, where there's basically this team game, which was then later on rethemed by the Batman IP, basically. Not so big of a fan for a lot of reasons, which I'm not going into today. So today, again, we are taking a look inside the box of the Adventures of Conan here. And yeah, it's not just this, there's also some expansion stuff that although did arrive. I already did spend a good amount of time reading the rules here. Somewhere there should also be the solo rules. For whatever reason, I am struggling with those rules, but I'm almost certain it's me, not the rules, because it seems I'm the only one complaining on the geek, and Jack even chimed in on one of my questions, so thanks so much for that. But sooner or later, I think I have a good handle on the multiplayer rules. I think these are clear. I really was a little bit, I don't know, maybe I should simply start playing the multiplayer game before I should even consider looking at the solo mode rulebook here. And the cool thing about the solo mode rulebook, it's not just, I don't know, put in last minute, it seems. A lot of thought went into the solo mode. So there is an entire deck of allies and foes that you have to replace them with. I think even unique encounters, unique events and whatnot. And really, it's not really a different game, but really a lot of thought went into this to make the solo experience feel like a multiplayer experience here. And this is really something I really did enjoy actually when reading through the rules and watched some playthroughs and walkthroughs and whatnot, because it's not just this adventure game, even though it says the Adventures of Conan. It's more like this faction kind of game. So there's Conan, there are allies, there are enemies, up to 2 enemy or foes, and every one of them has their own agenda and want to score the points. So even though there might be 2 foes playing against Conan and the ally, they all have their own little agenda and they all want to win on their own. Similarly, the ally is kind of working together with Conan, but on the other hand, they also want to win. So it's not a cooperative game. It's a very, not really mean-spirited game, but there's a lot of somewhat shared incentives. So you have to watch out to not drag Conan too much down as an ally, but you also want to make sure they're not scoring too many points. So really, for me, this is that kind of game. Here is some artwork. Right, I think that's simply artwork, and artwork in this game is amazing. Can't tell you how much I love it. You see, I haven't even punched out the punch boards here, so I think these will go some gold coins. These are, I believe, the fate tokens. Here we have the different gods that you can call upon in any given session. Here we have some of these. I think these are challenge tokens, I believe, starting player markers. These are the markers for Conan, for foes, for the allies. I did not get at the miniatures because I really didn't see the point, even though they look quite nice. I decided against it for whatever reason. I think this is the, what is it, the encounter track or so this is referred to. Some wound tokens here and some other helper tokens which you may want to use throughout the game. These are the adventure tokens, I believe. This is the gorgeous map of Hyperborea, I believe this is called. And yeah, I mean, look at this inlay here. This is finally an inlay that deserves its name, right? I mean, sound like a fanboy without even playing this game. But yeah, we have a ton of let's say special dice for Conan, for the allies, for the foes. We have the so-called kingdom dice here. I believe these are 8-sided die, which basically give you some resources when you're using them. Here, I believe these are the main action cards. So I think this whole entire deck, it's really a thick deck, is solely for the solo mode in the really huge, not tarot kind of side, but still huge enough. They come with different difficulty levels, so you can spice it up however you want. Ton of, let's say, non-player character reactions, so whenever Conan is taking action, the ally or the foe might do stuff with that. So I will not go through too much into, let's say, the rules of this game here. Then over here we have I think these are the allies, and I will really definitely put them out, the allies and the foes in here. I believe this symbol identifies them as for the solo mode. So again, we basically have the same allies and foes, one's for the solo mode and one's for the, let's say, multiplayer mode. They're all double-sided, so they come with different abilities. Sometimes throughout the game, you have to flip them over. So here is Conan himself, for example. I think you will always play with this, basically with this card on Conan, independent if you're playing solo or multiplayer game. And yeah, if you read some of the books or read some of the comics and whatnot, yeah, you see some of the iconic enemies, Tothamon here, for example. Really, again, and the artwork is absolutely beautiful in here. Yeah, we have some bags. Here we have some tracking tokens. These are screen printed wooden tokens, so I don't have to put any glues on them, and they're wooden tokens. I mean, this alone is already worth mentioning. Then we have, of course, some cards. Some of these cards I did have a look at already. I put them out of the shrink wrap. I believe these are the plot card. I think this one track was the plot track. Exactly. And there are various plots basically that are available here in this version of the game. So this is the test of nerve, test of determination. So they all come in 5 stages. And even that, I mean, you have already a lot of different plots at your disposal, but in theory, you can also mix and match those. Of course, you will always have one level 1, one level 2, one level 3, you get the idea. But out of those different plots, you can really mix and match those together. I can only assume that these are somewhat balanced within the test of courage here, for example, but I believe there's nothing game breaking in here if you are mixing and matching those. And I believe there are even some special ones here for the solo mode. Didn't really figure this one out here just yet, but these are just the plot cards, and really these are an amazing pile of cards on their own. Over here, these are the event cards. This is a little bit smaller of a deck, but the event card in this deck is not really driving a narrative. It's more like, let's call it a randomizer. So this is telling us where new challenges coming out, where fate tokens coming out, some bonus tokens, and also the player direction in which we are playing. So either counterclockwise or clockwise each round. I believe these are all the event cards, and I believe there are also special cards for the solo mode in here. Could be wrong though, didn't really go through that too much in detail. And then yeah, there's more of course. So what do we have here? These are the so-called encounter cards. These are somewhat good or bad. For Conan sometimes it's bad, and also for the ally it's bad. In theory you could gain some points, but these are pretty much here to slow Conan down, make him spend some of his valuable dice. dice, maybe lose some dice for them because sometimes they're taking a wound from these things. And I mean, look at the artwork of these whole things here. I mean, it's so amazing. It's such a pleasure to look at those. So also a huge pile of encounter cards here. And then I think last but not least, these are the so-called adventure cards. So this is one of the main way how Conan, but all the others might be able to make some of their victory points. So basically down here, the number, the 3 says where basically everyone can place dice on these cards later on in an adventure phase. So these are the scry symbol. These are some of these combat symbols which you can use. And every die on this card is worth 3 points. And there's such a cool mechanic in the game where Conan has to do some kind of a push your luck decision to decide which dice to place on them, because ultimately you want to win these encounters, even though if this would mean maybe giving some more points to your opponents. And again, for Conan, even the ally is an opponent in this game. Again, they're somewhat sharing some of the interests here, but again, ultimately only one player will win in this game. And I believe in these here, there are also different kind of difficulty levels. There is, I think they're outlined in the rules how you can mix and match those cards together, but I think also ultimately you can also, if you really want to go crazy, shuffle them all together and go through these. And I think then last but not least, yeah, we have these custom dice here. I mean, these are all really very nice, and they are not really screen printed. These are really recessed dice, so it's really carved out stuff here. I'm pretty sure these are really durable. And yeah, the different colors, I think when I received the game, these dice were all over the place. That's why I think usually you have them thematically grouped together. Though I believe these light green ones and the dark green ones, these are allied dice, if I recall that correctly. These are Conan dice, the orange one plus this one, and the rest could be faux dice. And again, these kingdom dice is basically something which you would be rolling. Yeah, there are various events in the game or various occasions in the game where you would be allowed to roll that, which is typically only a good thing. And then you would gain some stuff out of this. Maybe let's have a quick closer look at the map. Maybe should I fold it out? Yeah, let's try that. Hopefully I'm not tearing it to pieces. So that's basically it here. We have all these things up there. We have some kind of a victory point track. This is also an end of game trigger. Here we have an encounter track. Also a very cool mechanic in the game. Down here, let me pan down a little bit. We have the so-called achievement track where you can also score an awful lot of victory points if you're playing your cards right. And then yeah, ultimately you have these different locations and regions throughout the game from the Conan universe, like Aquilonia here, where they have different abilities, and these abilities, for example, can be tracked or can be used by I think it's a flag symbol, but in theory you can also use one of these wildcard dice here. Normally you have a flag on some of these cards. Couldn't find it right now, then you would be able to use those. These symbols here, first of all, they refer to some of, let's say, game effects per se, but these are also, let's say, icons or fate tokens which you would be able to gain when you do certain stuff down here. But ultimately, again, it's not an adventure game. It's also more of a strategic game, more of also with some push your luck elements, but also you have some mitigation effects in the game. One of these tests, for example, one of these dice roll is somewhat of a Yahtzee style of game, if that whatever. Yeah, I don't know. It's something that you don't like. I get it, but it's also a very minor portion of the game. But yeah, you are rolling a good amount of dice in this game. But as I said, there are usually a good amount of ways to mitigate luck to some extent. Yeah, that's basically the base game of Conan. Again, I think the designer himself said he prefers playing it with 3 players. So you would have Conan, you would have a foe, you would have an ally. But again, you can also play it with 2 or 4 players. In a 4-player game, you have 2 foes. In a 2-player game, you only have Conan and a foe. But I think the full experience in the end is really with 3 players. And then we have also somewhat of an expansion expansion here, which is another box, Queen of the Black Coast and the Numidian Chronicles expansion. So basically two set of rules, the Numidian Chronicles expansion. So we have some new event cards, we have some more special encounter cards, we have scenario tokens, we have rogue galleries. I haven't really looked at this at all, honestly, other than opening the box real quick. We have some bazaar cards here, not bizarre cards, but bazaar cards. And I believe, yeah, scenarios, that's something I did pick up, and we have some new challenge tokens here, and they're also introducing some more gods. And then we have the Queen of the Black Coast, also extremely nice artwork here. I mean, everywhere this design, it's amazing. And this expansion actually does come with a new sideboard here, which is really cool. Basically the Black Coast, I believe that's a board extension over here. We can have a look at this. I think it goes to the bottom of the normal board here. So again, we have some more regions to explore. Again, I haven't really looked at those, don't know what they do. Some more tokens. These could come from basically both expansions, and I believe these are the new god tokens here, for example, that you're using. I mean, look at the artwork on this thing. This is so amazing. And even this comes with such a cool little insert. Not sure if I will be using this insert going forward. I have to see if I can somewhat put the expansion stuff in here. But you already see we have some new allies waiting here. Maybe let me try to open that. Didn't even open this thing at all. These are new main actions. So yes, the expansion does work for solo. I mean, this alone is amazing. Again, a lot of thoughts went into these things. This is one ally here, and I believe this is an ally for the solo mode. I mean, that's the solo mode icon, and this down here, yeah, I remember now, you even have a reference of, let's say, recommended main action cards of the solo deck up here, but you can do that completely random, whatever, tweaking your difficulty however you see fit. I think here we may have some new events. I mean, I think for some of those, they will definitely also refer to the new locations on the board. I have no clue what those are. Again, I haven't looked at those. And some more cards here. These are the so-called bazaar cards, not bizarre cards. Again, haven't looked at those. And what do we have here? Some more encounter cards. I mean, these are not completely wrapped, so I think we can have a look at some of those. Oh gosh, this is so cool to look at. Infernal Dragon. Yeah, these are the nasty encounters, which also can give everyone basically a good amount of victory points. But the playthrough I have seen, and I think this was a playthrough that Jack Rita himself did with two other players, for the most part, the foes were scoring 5 points. That is amazing in this game, because one of the end game trigger is actually victory points, and in a 3-player game that is around 23, 24 kind of points, and scoring 5 points from one encounter, yeah, you can do the math yourself. And then last but not least, there was one extra one, the Stretch Goals. The Savage Sword contains 15 cards. I had a quick look at those as well. So I think we had some more encounter cards in here. We had some more plot cards and some more adventure cards. So simply to spice things up a little bit, make this game even more replayable, because you can really mix and match together all kinds of stuff. I believe even some of the solo cards you can easily use for the multiplayer game. And the other way around, I think you can even introduce a solo character into a 2 or 3 player game, from what I understood. So again, I believe this game has an awesome amount of replayability simply built into that, and it's simply looking amazing. And yeah, as I said, I'm still working my way through the rules. I will definitely do a demo, or let's say a test session for the solo mode before I dare to bring it to the channel. So check, if you're watching this, I might have to raise more questions on the geek. I will have to watch your solo playthrough again, but I think this is really one of the games I want to cover on my channel really relatively soon. And let me know if you're interested. I mean, it's really beautiful to look at, and from what I have seen, from what I have read, the game itself really seems extremely fun. And yeah, that's basically it for today. These are my thoughts on an unboxing of the Adventures of Conan, including some of the expansion stuff here. Let me know what you think. Before I forget, huge shout out to all of my patrons and channel members. You guys are amazing and great. Can't tell you how much I appreciate all your support. And yeah, with that being said, hope to see you soon in one of my other videos, and until then, bye bye.